Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're going to talk about N2W and Wasabi and this great partnership that we built. Joining me today is Rob Callahan from Wasabi. He is the principal technical evangelist over there. So he will share a little bit of insight of why you should be using both N2W and Wasabi. And I'm going to just chime in as well.
Thank you. Excited to be here. Excited about our partnership and excited how we can make customers' lives, less complicated and more economical.
So let's get right into that. So first of all, what we're going to cover today are these points that you can see. So our goal is to help you keep your backup safe, be able to recover in any case, ransomware, outages of specific regions, and so on, and doing it very cheap and very fast. We will show you today how to do that.
Very exciting. I think the thing on here is important to think about, though, is the subject we're talking about is that, and people don't always realize, is when they use a service in a hyperscaler, the hyperscaler and that service is promised to be up within a certain amount of time and that the application is available, but they don't ever talk about the data. And a lot of what we're going to talk about today is how to protect the valuable data that you're using that application with.
That's exactly it. Thank you, Rob. So we are two different vendors, obviously, right? I'm from N2W, Rob is from Wasabi, and we both tackle different problems, but we do it together. So we solve both of those problems in this nice partnership. For example, N2W handles the orchestration part, right? N2W is an EC2 instance that runs within your AWS account or even Azure. Why not, right? And from there, you will have access to this single user interface, single pane of glass, where you will manage backups for AWS, for Azure. And then Wasabi comes in and you offer us this, out of the both clouds, out of AWS, out of Azure, storage solution. Tell us a little bit about that, Rob.
That's important to think about, is that you don't want to have, so to speak, all your eggs in one basket. You want to make sure that you have that copy somewhere else. So if the service goes down or access to the service, that you can recover. But if you can't afford to do that, then you're maybe not going to back up as much as you should or as often as you should. So with Wasabi, we provide secure S3 compatible storage, but we do it without the egress fees or the API call fees that are typically can really break the bank with the hyperscalers. And we do it very cost effectively and securely.
Oh, yeah, that's very important, right? So cost, security, like you touched on all the big points there. And it's very important because people don't think about API costs, right? Or they don't think about egress costs until they look at the bill and they see, oh, that much, right? And with Wasabi, you solve both of those and you still have your data secure, immutable, all of that. And it's S3 compatible storage, but it's hot storage, Rob, right? So you recover really fast. And we encourage everyone at the end of this presentation, right? We encourage everyone to scan those QR codes and get to learn about both of our products. Right. Now, with N2W, we offer cross-region, cross-account, as you can see very clearly here. We give you audit-ready logs, which is very important because, yes, you can pretend to have backups or you can say it out loud, I do have backups. But when an auditor comes, he will not take your word for it. He will want to see paper trails, right? And we give you that. We give you reports, auditing, everything you need, and it will show that the data is stored either in AWS or in Azure or in Wasabi, right? It will show when the backups were taken, when backups were cleaned out, because that's what N2W also does. Part of the orchestration is we keep your backups for as long as you want us to keep the backups. So we make sure that after, 7 years, we delete those backups that have expired. So we don't just pile up on cost, we save you cost by doing this for you. And Wasabi is a great partner at that because with zero API fees, zero egress fees, and immutability, you get basically everything you want.
Interesting. If someone who wants to come in and audit you has to spend a lot of time doing it, they're going to be a lot more not as happy with you and may dig into areas and cause you a lot more challenge than you expect. Oh, yeah. And so by having it easy to see, easy to find with all the rich details, it makes their life easier, makes your life easier. Oh, yeah. And the fact that you can do this in within 15 minutes, when I think of a hyperscaler and applications and all that stuff, I think complexity. But with this solution, it's very simple to implement and very secure, and you have a paper trail.
Oh, exactly. I couldn't agree with you more, Rob, because you don't want to annoy those auditors, right? You don't want to give them ideas. Let's look into that. Let's look into this. Have everything ready. Click one button, have it, and that's it. So yeah, now, one strategy and 4 wins, right? So basically, you get isolated and immutable data, which you can copy, obviously, cross-cloud or outside of the cloud. You have lower storage costs because it's way cheaper if you use Wasabi, right? As you can see there, no egress, no API fees, which makes it, I don't know, just lovable, I would say, for the lack of a better word. And then compliance out of the box. That's what you get when you use our tool, because you get immutable backups, be it on AWS, be it on Wasabi. You get clear logs, you get a drill history, but not even that. You get something that's even better. You get to test your backups, right? And what we tell our customers, or even people that are not our customers yet, are you taking backups? They say yes. Are you testing your recoveries? Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. Regardless of what the answer is, we show them what we are capable of. We have recovery orchestration, right? We have recovery scenarios that allow you to build out some, I don't know, scenarios that come to your mind. And some of which, Rob, you can mention them for sure, right? What happened in the last couple of years within the cloud space, right? CrowdStrike events, whatnot, right? There's literally everything that you would expect. And there's one element that nobody expected, right? This missile hitting the data. Like nobody would predict that ever.
That was not on anybody's bingo card, or call it.
Exactly. Exactly. That was like a joker, right? And I know it's not cool to laugh about that, but it's we're all here chill and fun and whatever, and we want to present stuff as it is, right? Facts as they are. So it happened. It is a real world event, and it caused some people to lose either all their data or to have access to it, I don't know, after 72 hours, which is long enough for some companies to die, right? And then the cost involved as well, the loss of revenue. There's many aspects to that. So what we want is basically for you to have your backups, store them as securely as possible wherever you want. We just give you all the options, and Wasabi is one of those options. And we bank on Wasabi because, again, it's just amazing. They have various regions available, right? So Rob, you're much better at this than me, so you'll be able to talk to that. But you will be able to most likely find a region similar to yours, so the data is within that compliance needing data store.
I think you brought up some important points, and we sort of, we don't want to talk about with any kind of levity about the missile strike, but the fact that something like that, what else haven't we thought about that could happen? So being able to spread that out. Wasabi has 16 different storage regions. Being able to spread your data to a copy to another one outside a radius of where something could happen, because we don't know what's going to happen. I think the other thing too is that, and you talked about this, is if it's too expensive or too complicated to test, people don't do it. And they have this thing, as my boss likes to say, they hope it works. But as we all say, hope is not a strategy. You need to test it and prove it. You need to both make sure what you're backing up is what you think you're backing up, and what you're backing up is what is needed to restore your environment, because you don't want to come to that point and figure out that something didn't copy over or some file is missing that you need to restore your environment. And now you've taken your whole company down because you couldn't afford to test it or didn't want to test it.
Oh, yeah. So testing is a must, right? It's no longer like it's an option. No, it's a must. Everybody needs to test their backups. Our tool will give you ways of doing that. You can create a scenario for ransomware. You can create a scenario for an outage of a random region. You can create a scenario for your account getting hacked. So literally everything. And what we allow you to do, what we allow customers to do, is to basically schedule those. Run them weekly, run them monthly. Why not? And we give you two options there as well. So our solution is basically a lot of options, but all of them are there to help you. And you can just choose which one fits you best. So we give you the option to recover of EC2 instances, RDS, and whatnot. So when you hit that recover button, or when the schedule time comes, you will see the recovery done, and you will be able to see how long did it take me to do that? Was it successful or not? Was I missing anything? If it failed, it will give me a detailed explanation of why it failed. Most common issue that I see with customers is they forget to change the IP address and they try to recover in the same place. So obviously we are not magicians. We cannot do that. So we tell you, hey, we tried to, but AWS gave us this error message. Your IP address 192 blah, blah, blah is already in use. So the easy fix is go and change that. But you know that before the actual event, right? So you can take some steps. You can fix stuff before it actually happens. But by testing it, it's the only way to find out.
Yeah, I think I'd rather be, testing and finding problems and fixing them where I can do it at my sort of leisure, so to speak, versus having everybody in the company watching you and it's failing to recover. And as we say, then what happens is you get a resume generating event.
Oh yeah. And you feel them breathing down your neck, right? Everybody's panicking and they all look to you because you're like the guy. Hey, make some magic happen. And then, sometimes you can, sometimes you cannot. All right.
And we'll talk about it in the next one, but you bring up another point about ransomware. I saw an unsettling story now that I think it was in China that they have now built their own version of Mythos. And Mythos was the big AI engine, LLM, that was supposed to, have incredible powers to bypass all of these either security or find flaws. And the fact that there's other versions out there that maybe don't have the tighter controls on it, and there's not as many rules and regulations, should cause everybody to be a little fearful and make sure that they do back up this data frequently, that they do store it, because ransomware and an attack is not an if anymore, it's a when. And so being prepared to recover from that, as well as any acts of nature or things like that, is critical to keeping your company viable and keeping it alive, basically.
Yeah, of course. I completely agree. So as you see here, step 4 is a fast and clean recovery. And that's, again, what our tool has to offer. Now, on this next slide, as Rob already mentioned, right, Wasabi comes and gives you some extra security. So they're already secure, but they come and give you even more security layers, I would like to call them. So can you talk a little bit about this, Rob?
Yeah. So again, it's great that you back up the data and you encrypt it and you make it immutable, but you also have to protect other things. And in this case, we have a couple of great features with Wasabi. The first one is multi-user authorization. What we found is if a cyber criminal comes in and compromises, let's say, for example, the storage admin or the account holder or whatever, that person a lot of times has the actual keys to the account itself. And if they can't delete the data because it's immutable, they'll go after the account. And what multi-user authorization does is it protects it by allowing you to pick additional security contacts, up to 3, that all have to approve any destructive action. And why that's important is because even if the data is immutable, if they delete your account or your bucket, the data goes away. It doesn't matter. So by having multi-user authorization here, you're able to spread it across other people that are traditionally maybe not in the IT role, someone in legal, someone in finance, people that their only job is to say yes. And we recommend that you have them say, hey, out of band, contact me if you ever get a request, just to make sure it's me. Make sure it's legitimate.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we also know that companies sometimes have critical data that they don't want anybody, even the storage admin, to have easy access to. It could be things like their license keys for all of their applications. It could be their contracts. It could be their DR runbook, things you don't want out in the wild or even within the company to be able to access. So with Covert Copy, you have the ability to take a bucket of data, and it could contain the backups from you as well as this additional data. And you can basically lock it away in a vault that cannot be seen unless all the security contacts you approve. So it's covert. And if a cyber criminal can't see it, they can't reach it, they can't steal it or delete it.
That's amazing. So what I'm imagining is I'm one of those guys that should receive this confirmation, right? And I receive an email on my phone and say, hey, we want to delete your Wasabi account. And I will say, no, can you call me? I need to talk to you about this, right? And the hacker will not be able to do that. So that's security at its best, right? Because you can have like MFA to log in. Sure, they can maybe bypass that. I think they have already, right? They can, I don't know, get the pin on your email. They can spoof that. So this, it's very hard to beat. And again, it's just an additional layer. So there's many, many layers, right? But this is just one extra that should give you all the assurance that you need.
And you talked about economics. Both of these features are included with your account. You're not paying extra for it. With Covert Copy, the only thing you pay for is the extra storage for that extra copy, which is standard practice.
Of course, absolutely. And about this, right? We have customers. So we offer disaster recovery within our tool, which means copying your backup from one region to another again to prevent outages and stuff like that. In one region, your data is safe. And people ask, yeah, but doesn't that cost money? And what I say is, yeah, but if you don't have it and something happened, doesn't that cost money as well? So they never think of the real life scenario where they will be hacked. And it's just a matter of time, as you said, right? It's not if, it's when. So they need to be ready. What I tell them is, you can look at it like your car insurance, house insurance. Of course, you don't want to hit your car. You don't want your house to get burnt down. But these things happen. And you have paid a small price to have a copy of your data in this case, right? It's a much, much smaller, like, I cannot even compare it, right? To losing your entire company or losing the trust of your customers or not having your services and your websites and your, I don't know, online shops up and running for 72 hours. That's crazy. Because if I would want to buy something online, I go to a specific website that I like, of course, and if it's down, I'm not going to wait. Oh, let's come back 2 hours late. No, if I want to buy that, I'm going to go to the next site and I'm going to buy there. And maybe I'm going to become their customers. And so this is how it works on the internet. Everything moves really fast, right? So your backups and your recovery should also be at pace.
And you're right. It's sort of beyond this conversation, but people in general have less patience than they used to have. So
Exactly.
as you said, if they can't get to something, they'll go to the next best choice. And that could be your competitor.
Exactly. Now, here you will see what actually happens, right? You are getting long-term storage fees reduced by so much, right? Up to 80%. Now, you would be able to choose the smart tiering with Wasabi. You eliminate Azure licensing fees with using N2W, because what N2W basically does in the Azure space, if you run the VM there, we eliminate the backup costs of the VMs. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Rob, you probably are, but Azure charges you a fee for the backup principle itself. Like, you're taking a backup of this VM, okay, we're going to charge you this flat fee, plus for the storage that you're going to back up, an extra fee, plus of the storage generated from the backup, another fee. So we cannot eliminate the storage backup cost because that's a snapshot, right? We cannot eliminate that. We can make it smaller by tiering it to Wasabi, for example, or to S3 or to even Azure Blob. But we can also help you with the licensing fee that Azure Backup charges. Because with N2W, you don't pay for the storage. You just pay for what you're backing up. You back up one VM. It doesn't matter if it's a 1 terabyte VM to us or a 20 terabyte. We don't care. You pay one VM. With Azure, they will charge you for the storage as well, which is,
and that's important too to think about. That is that everything being a fee, at some point they're trying to get you numb to just keep paying fees. But what we found we have a cloud storage index that we do through Advanced and Born every year, and the last one said within the customers, and these are just not Wasabi customers, these are IT people that are using cloud storage, that their storage costs, about 48% of it is fees. 52% is the actual storage. So think about that. If you're able to reduce it by 80% by using the combination of N2W and Wasabi, what could you do with all that money you just freed up? Could you buy more licenses that you need? Could you give raises? Could you increase your company's profit? I mean, there's a lot of things you could do.
Invest in R&D. Like, there's so many use cases. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, yes. Yep.
With Wasabi being a single tier, right, S3 storage that offers you those 16, was it, regions?
Yes.
Right, that you can choose from. Most likely you will find a region close enough to you, if not in your exact country, to store your data and still be compliant. Because compliance is also a big factor, right? People need to store their data within a specific space because of regulation, because of compliance, because of auditing, so Wasabi offers that. And if I'm not mistaken, Rob, right, you keep adding to those regions, right?
Correct.
How do you do that? Do you partner with other storage providers or do you build yourself?
No, it's our own storage stack, our own technology stack. And then we co-locate basically with, because the cost of standing up all this stuff to support that is incredibly expensive.
Of course. But
by using space in another data center that has the security, the power, all the things necessary, we can put our own technology in a locked environment and provide that storage capacity to customers cost effectively and securely. And like you said, as the bottom bullet here, without those egress fees and API fees that can really just destroy your budget.
No, that's great. And it's good to know how you basically look for such co-location, right? So you have like a list and say, oh, you qualify because you meet all our like security checkpoints, right? Latency, everything that you need. And then you use that. That's really good to know. Now, here is like a short calculation, right? For a 1-year retention, how much money you would be saving. And on the left here, you see the AWS native EBS cost. If you kept it, this is, by the way, on the left is the monthly and on the right is the yearly calculation. On the left, you'll see monthly, you would pay AWS $62K if you had 150 EC2 instances or VMs, whatever you want to call them, averaging like 1.5 terabyte each. Then you would take weekly backups and you kept them for 1 year. Your monthly cost with native EBS snapshots would be $62K. What we do when we partnered with Wasabi is with N2W and Wasabi, you would reduce that by 65% per month. So basically around 40K saved per month, which on the right side, you will see is calculated as yearly. And we have two options with N2W basically. One of them is zero EBS, which, yeah, it's pretty easy to understand. When you take a backup natively, it's an EBS snapshot, and we store it into Wasabi, let's say, and then we come back and we say, you don't want that snapshot because you would have the both cost at the same time. One, you would keep as an EBS snapshot, and the other you would send to Wasabi. We say, okay, we can save you money by deleting the snapshot itself. So all your data is in Wasabi. When you want to recover, it's really quick. And I encourage everybody to not take our word for it, test it. If you haven't already, set up an account with Wasabi. If you're not using N2W today, we have a free trial. Again, you will see the QR codes on the last page. So I encourage you to scan those and go meet our products. But test this, right? Take a backup, store it there, see how easy it is, try to restore it, see how fast it was. And you can basically meet your RTO and RPO with our solutions, right, together. So
and that's important because you can try it without any kind of obligation, see the value, see the simplicity, and see the cost savings. And then once you see that, then you can then convert those into paid accounts, but there is no requirement to just test it out. You can just basically go and download, for example, the tool, or you can set up a Wasabi account at no charge.
Absolutely. Right. So that's great about our tools because, as you mentioned, they're available. You will be able to set up your account. I think I set up mine in less than, 2 minutes when I did it. It's very easy. It's very straightforward. And you just get right in it. Right. And you will see a lot of similarities between, for example, Wasabi and AWS, because you'll still have your IAM users. You still have your policies that you assign to each of your buckets, like security and stuff like that. So access and whatnot. You'll have your billing everything is again on one screen, so it's very easy to use, like it is on our UI as well.
I was going to talk about one other thing that we have that it's not on the slides, but we just implemented, and it's in the Wasabi interface, a security checklist that helps customers look at their security setups and identifies anything that they may have missed, and then shows them how to implement those basic security features that they may have not turned on or neglected to turn on. So again, helping them stay secure.
That's perfect. Security should be everyone's concern, right? And again, don't trust us, just test it. Now, you get compliance and you get it out of the box. So we talked about auditing earlier, Rob, and it happens. It's not like, oh, no auditor will ever come. No, they will. They will, because they want to find breaches or stuff that you're not doing right. They want you to pay those big fines, right? So with our tool, you'll be able to get the logs. As we said, you get the drill history, the protected resources report, unprotected resource report, which, by the way, is great at identifying resources that you're having in your environments that are not getting backed up today. And then you can ask questions like, hey, who owns this? Why are we not backing it up? And someone will raise their hand and will say, oh, that's mine. We need to back it up, but I forgot to do it. So you detect stuff like that, and you'll be able to simply tag them and back them up. It's very easy. Tag everything you want to back up with a specific tag. It's automatically taken care of. You create new resources tomorrow. You want to back them up, use the same tag. It's so simple. And if in your policy you have specified that it should be backed up to Wasabi, you don't even need to worry about it. The tag solves everything. Right? It gets backed up and it gets stored into Wasabi for the retention that you wanted, 7 years, 20 years, whatever it is. So worm protection, right? And it's not the worms that you see in the ground. No, it's the write once and read many, basically, because that's what immutability really is. You want to be able to know that your data cannot be deleted or altered, right, at any point in time, even by insiders, because as Rob mentioned, if your, security principal gets hacked or your storage admin, they might go and try to delete stuff themselves, right? They have the access. If it's immutable, they cannot do it. And when it's immutable, the next step they will try to do, again, Rob, you mentioned that, and thank you for that, is they will try to delete your account. And it has happened. It has happened, right? In AWS, I believe, they don't delete your account straight away. They wait like 7 days until they do it. So you have some time to react, right? But here you get something even better. The deletion doesn't even begin. Those emails go out, right? And people get like, why are we deleting this account? Rob, can you call me? And that's it. And it stops the hacking right then and there, right? Now, audit-ready, right? HIPAA, SOC, like there's a lot of GDPR here in Europe. And there's many, many more to come because we see them change and adapt and evolve for everything that happens in the world. And then someday you'll see, oh, we need to spend this amount of money because we're not GDPR compliant, or we're not, I don't know what compliant. And our tool solves that problem for you because we run natively in AWS as an EC2 instance. We naturally inherit everything that AWS has to offer to you, right? Because we live there. We have everything that they offer you within our tool as well. Now, You might claim that your backups are immutable, but we can prove it. We can send you a report that shows you these backups are really immutable. What immutability did you choose? Governance, compliance, whatever. So you'll be able to see all of that, right? And with the verifiable trail, of course, we've mentioned this many times throughout the presentation today, you get reports that you can either manually trigger or that can be scheduled, so you receive them. And not only you can send them to a distribution list. You can send them to the, I don't know, whole company or the CEO or whoever needs to see that, right? And for auditors especially, you can just generate them on the spot. They will tell you, hey, we need to see 6 years back how you did things, where things were stored. We need to see that, I don't know, all the backups are in this specific region. You can just pull that off of our reporting, and that's what makes it a really, I don't know, great tool. Offers you everything in one single pane of glass.
I think it's important, and that's something people don't think about. If a company and the backup admin or the people that are involved in this are spending all this time to prove this stuff for an audit, that means they're not spending time on doing their normal jobs. So the company's suffering. So by making it easy to create these reports to show that the company has followed GDPR or HIPAA or whatever those things are, and that it is locked, immutable, and protected, and quickly allows them to do their day job and not worry about this.
Yeah, that's a great point. Okay. Now, with our tool, we offer you this 4 clicks recovery. First of all, you will want to pick one recovery point. And with our tool, because you can take backups daily, weekly, monthly, like these are the grandfather, father, son backup types from the on-premise world. But with our tool, you can go down to the hour. If you want to take a backup every hour, why not? If you want to take a backup every 20 minutes, why not? You just need to pay attention to one thing. We trigger your backup, and then we trigger the API calls that go to AWS or go to Azure, and then they will initiate the snapshot. But how long that snapshot creation takes is not up to N2W anymore. It's up to the AWS infrastructure. So some backups will finish within 20 minutes. Some backups might not. So at this point, you can play with the scheduling, and you can say, oh, everything finishes within 1 hour, so it makes sense for us to do 1 hour backups for our critical data. You can do that. Then you will have 24 such recovery points in one day. So at that point, when you get hacked, when an event happens, when, I don't know, human errors, they happen every day. Right? Happened to me today. I deleted something. I cannot get it back. I didn't have a backup. Anyways, I want to recover something. So you choose from those 24 points in time, and you can say, oh, 6 a.m. 6 a.m. looks fine to me because I know the data was there. I know everything was working. Then you filter for the policy, user, account, backup status, whatever. And then you choose where you want to recover to. It could be same account. It could be a different account, at which point our tool is no longer just a backup and restore tool, but it's also a migration tool. Why not? You back up from A, you recover to B, job done, right? So it's so easy. And then hit the restore button. That's the magic button where everything happens and you are back online. We say here in minutes. Actually, it's seconds, right? For certain workloads, you'll see like you hit the refresh button, it's already there. You're like, no, this cannot be. Yes, it can. That's how we work.
No, I think it's important because in the olden days, it happened to somebody else. Today, it happens to everybody. Everybody's going to have something. It's going to have a cyber attack, a human error, a power fluctuation, whatever it is. And you need to prepare by having frequent backups, because you don't know a lot of times, let's say, for example, a ransomware or some kind of an infiltration. You don't know how long ago it started and how far you have to go back to get a clean copy. So the ability to cost effectively store more for longer is important, but to be able to quickly restore it and find a known good is critical also.
Oh, absolutely. And one thing that also comes to mind is a question that I ask customers is, how much data are you willing to lose if you get hacked? And they will say no data. And I will say, okay, then you need to back up frequently. Like if you do one backup every 24 hours at 2 a.m., let's say, but you get hacked, I don't know, at 3 a.m. the last day, you would lose those hours, right? So then we give them the options. Hey, you want to back up as frequent? Yeah, do it. Why not? Because the backups are incremental. So it doesn't mean you take a full backup every single time. That would be so expensive. They're incremental. So if you back up frequently, so what? You just have more restore points at your disposal when something happens.
Yep.
Now, of course, we work with all kinds of customers, right? And MSPs, managed service providers, are one of them. The thing with MSPs is they have their own customers that they cater to, right? They could be from various industries and so on. So We basically provide them with one single platform, one single pane of glass that allows them multi-cloud protection, that allows them to keep their cost in check. First of all, with Wasabi, right? Because it's cheaper than the other providers by not having the egress fees, by not having the API fees. Availability, right? It's there. You can launch it in the same region as your production workloads. I would hardly disagree, because why keep all your eggs, again, as you mentioned, Rob, in the same basket? You can have this run anywhere. I would even say run it in a completely separate account. Don't run it in production. Run it in an account that has nothing in it. So the chances are literally very, very small, if not even zero, that both accounts get hacked at the same time, or that both regions go down at the same time, right? Yep. So then with the layered security, because it runs as an EC2 instance or a VM in your account, you are in charge of security. So if you leave your security groups open to the internet, that's on you. Most companies will prefer to restrict it to only their networks, their VPNs, their direct connects, their whatever. So that makes it already very secure. For a hacker to be able to hack this instance, they need to be within your network. Let's see, they are in your network, right? Let's say they are in your network. Now, they need to know that N2W has that interface. They might find it out. Then they need to know your username and password. Again, they probably could find that out as well. But then you have MFA. Then you have proxies. Then you have Wasabi coming on top. So layers and layers and layers of protection and security. So it's basically an unbeatable partnership that we have here.
And that's critical. You can't rely on just one thing, and you never know it's going to be compromised. So by layering your security, you're trying to, cover every potential weakness.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now, the final slide of the presentation, we encourage you to think about what you're doing right now in the cloud. You have a lot of resources that are running. Some might be production, some might be development. You want to look at your costs, at your spend. Compare your spend from 2025 to 2026, right, currently. And do that. It's a healthy exercise. You will notice that the trend is that your storage costs go up. Why? Because you generate new data. And you do that every single day. Some customers, I don't know, generate between 3 to 5% on a daily basis, right? I'm not sure, Rob, if from your talks with customers, you could agree, or what are the numbers?
Oh, yeah, no, it's growing because you're storing more, you're doing more business, and there's more data to help you make smarter decisions you have to protect.
Exactly, right? So by seeing your cost exponentially grow year over year, you need to find a solution to that. Unless you're printing money, which, okay, you can do. You need to look at tools like ours, right? N2W and Wasabi. In this partnership, we save you a lot of money. I encourage everybody to scan these QR codes, and you will be basically landing on our websites. First of all, the first step, right? Calculate your savings. We have a cost calculator on our website, which is free to use. Just go there. Enter your numbers. I have this much data, this many VMs. I store this frequently. My retention is this long. And we will just tell you how much money you would save on the spot with using N2W and Wasabi. Then, if you want a free demo of our tool, most likely you'll be seeing me live on that demo, or one of my colleagues. We will present you the pros of using our tool, the cons, why not. We can talk about native versus our tool, or other competitors versus our tool. But basically, we will encourage you to look at backups and rethink your strategy. If you're not doing DR right now, you should. If you are not thinking about cost savings, you should. If you're not thinking about cross-cloud, you should, right? Because of the things that happen in the world, as Rob mentioned earlier, we never know what's going to be next. Like aliens, I don't know if we're ready for that, but it might happen.
You had to go to aliens, didn't you? You had to do that.
I waited so long for that. Okay, and the last step, of course, not the last, but one of the steps is Wasabi. I encourage you, if you don't already use Wasabi, give them a shot. Why not? It's free to have your account set up. I believe it's 1 terabyte of free data, or the first month. I can't remember, Rob.
1 terabyte for a month. And then you can use the calculator, the TCO calculator, to put in what you're doing today. And you can sort of see the total cost, because when you look at the different egress costs and API costs and everything, depending on what you're storing and how long, you can see how much maybe you're paying that you don't realize with all these fees. Like what you talked about with Azure, all these additional fees. It's great for them. They make a lot of money, but it hurts your own company's budget.
Oh yeah. I completely agree.
And I think testing to make sure you can recover is the most important thing, because you don't want to be there trying to fix something when you have an outage and then all of a sudden it doesn't work.
I completely agree. So as a closing note, Rob, it was an absolute pleasure to have you here today. Thank you for this. And everybody, like I said, see you soon on the demos and the presentations. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the Wasabi team and the N2W team. We will answer any questions you've got.
Thank you for having us. It was great.